The Browns have made a trade and they made a big announcement on Deshaun Watson. So a lot to talk about in an at-home video here at the Cleveland Browns Report. No watch party tonight either. I'm currently home for my grandma's 80th birthday, but I still wanted to get a video out for the Chris Williams trade that just went down a few hours ago and the Deshaun Watson announcement. Sorry if you hear voices in the background. I'm at home, so just roll with me here. But let's start with the Chris Williams trade. It's not a big trade, right? It's a Browns defensive tackle that was on the practice squad last year. It's a day 3 pick swap. The Browns send Williams and a 7th round draft pick to the Chicago Bears for a 6th round draft pick. So for the most part, it's a pretty minor trade, and we can kind of leave it at that. But if you want to dig a little bit deeper, I don't think the Browns would have made this trade if they weren't confident in Dalvin Tomlinson, Maurice Hurst, and or Shelby Harris coming back from injury, right? Tomlinson will have missed the entire preseason in training camp due to be on the PUP list. Shelby Harris picked up an injury earlier in training camp, but he returned. And Maurice Hurst picked up an injury halfway through training camp, and he's probably not going to play in the preseason finale tonight, but we'll hopefully get him back in practice soon. So you've got 3 defensive tackles, all with varying degrees and different timelines of their injuries. If there was serious concern over 2 of those guys, I don't think the Browns would have gone out and traded one of their backup defensive linemen away, right? I just feel like that's a guy you want to keep on your roster, even if you're slightly concerned, because a 6th round draft pick, that really isn't going to move the needle much. But if you feel like you might need to play Chris Williams early in the season, I don't think you would have traded him away. So that was my deep takeaway from a trade for a player that most fans have probably never heard about. I can see why the Bears traded for him. He actually overlapped with Bears head coach Matt Eberflus in Indianapolis when he was the DC for the Colts. The Bears have been beefing up their defensive line. That's the 2nd defensive line addition they've made. They added Darrell Taylor from the Seahawks just yesterday. So the Bears have been busy building up their front 4, and the Browns pick up a day 3 draft pick. And I wonder if that 7th rounder that went to the Bears was the 7th rounder that they were going to get from the Washington Commanders for Cade York, now that I think about it. So you can say Andrew Berry kind of turned a 4th round pick into a 7th round pick and had a 58-yard walk-off field goal in the middle. Not a bad deal, if you ask me. So that's the Browns trade with the Bears. It's Chris Williams, a defensive lineman, a 7th round draft pick going to Chicago for a 2025 6th round draft pick. Now, the more important news, I would say, of the day would be the Deshaun Watson decision, which is the Browns decided not to play Watson in the preseason finale tonight in Seattle. It'll be on 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central, so a very late kick. Like I said, no watch party, so unfortunately not going to be able to hang out with you guys tonight, but we won't miss Deshaun Watson playing. Most of the other starters will/should play as long as Stefanski, stays true to his word about what the plan has been all week long. There's a couple of thoughts that pop in my head here for Watson not playing. One, it's a preseason game. I don't think this is something to make a big deal out of. I do think it's worth noting. I think it's worth discussing. I don't think we should just brush this to the side. Now, there are a couple of factors that kind of came into play here because the original plan was for Watson to play, and obviously something has changed over the last couple of days. Well, what's changed? One, he dealt with some arm soreness that caused him to leave Wednesday's practice a little bit early. He was a full participant during Thursday's practice, which was close to the media. But if that's not the bigger issue, it might be the offensive line injuries, right? The Browns don't have James Hudson at left tackle. They don't have Jed Wills. They don't have Jack Conklin. We're talking down 3 tackles. You have DeJuan Jones at right tackle still, and Jermaine Ifedi filling in at left tackle with the first team offense. So there probably was a little bit of concern over Watson going out there in front of that offensive line, but I think they're kind of overblowing that. Let's not act like this is a practice squad offensive line. You still have Bitonio, Posick, Teller, DeJuan Jones. Because Jermaine Ifedi has to start at left tackle, he can't play. Jermaine Ifedi has 80-plus starts in the NFL. He's not playing a whole game. We're talking about going out there for 15 snaps. Is that really in jeopardy with Jermaine Ifedi on the team? Is he that bad? If he was that bad, I don't think he'd still be on the team anymore. So I feel like that's kind of just a convenient excuse. The whole thing's a little bit, I wouldn't say fishy, whatever a notch below fishy is, but it is preseason. I'm not going to really make a big deal out of it. Yes, this will be, well, when Watson takes the field week 1, which he's expected to do still against the Cowboys. It'll be his first time on a football field in live reps and whatnot since suffering a season-ending injury last November. That's also the case for Kirk Cousins and Aaron Rodgers. Is anyone freaking out about them not playing in the preseason? Like, I've seen way more national coverage about Watson not playing in the preseason than Aaron Rodgers and Kirk Cousins, guys who are not on the PUP list, who have been cleared to play, but the team decided not to play in the preseason. So, like, I'm not going to lose sleep over this. I do feel like with Watson and his injuries over the last 12 months, there has been a little level of like shadiness from day one where he said he was going to play against the Ravens, then he didn't play, and the Browns were like, we'll have him back after the bye, and then he was not back after the bye, and then he wasn't ready for the Colts game, but they started him anyway. Like, when all that happens, you kind of lose a little bit of credibility, and then when you say, hey, he's going to start this week, and James Hudson, who hasn't been very good, injures his ankle, and that's like the final straw that breaks the camel's back for Watson not playing, because Jermaine Ifedi's playing at left tackle. Like, he wasn't going to go out there if Lorenzo Thompson was in at tackle. We're talking about playing 15 snaps probably, like 2 series. Like, I just feel like that's kind of overblown that he can't play in front of 4 starters, but because the left tackle is a backup, we're drawing a line there. It's hard to get a perfect starting lineup in the NFL. It's rare, but that's my 2 cents on the matter. So let me know. Do you guys think Deshaun Watson should play in the preseason or should have played, with this being the preseason finale? Give me a yes or give me a no. I would have liked to have seen him play. The reasons why is it would be his first time going on the field against the Cowboys. I would like to see him I would like to have seen him knock some of the rust off in the preseason versus week 1 of the regular season. He historically gets off to slow starts in his NFL career, and he's got a new offensive coordinator in Ken Dorsey, and he's got a new number 2 receiver in Jerry Jeudy. Like, there's a lot of new that's going on as Watson comes back from a shoulder injury. I feel like 15 snaps in the preseason, there might be 1 or 2 wrinkles that could have been smoothed out before the regular season by getting some reps in during the preseason. So I personally would have liked to have seen him play in the preseason. I'm sure the Browns are just being overly cautious here with the backup tackle and some arm soreness, and they don't want to risk it all for a meaningless preseason game. So I can kind of see where they're coming from. But again, I feel like not playing him because Jermaine Ifedi is starting at left tackle and arm soreness on Wednesday, but he was a full participant on Thursday, it doesn't really add up to me. Like, neither excuse that people give for Watson not playing really checks out in my book. Like, if he's injured, why did he practice on Thursday? If you're worried about the offensive line, there's 4 starters out there, and the 5th has 80-plus career starts, and it's 15 snaps. And I'm sure you can call up a lot of plays to get the ball out of his hand quickly and to avoid ever getting sacked or taking a hit. So that's my 2 cents on the matter. I'm going to let you guys go. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. Once more, no watch party tonight. I'm sorry. I'm at my grandma's birthday party, so unfortunately, we're going to have to talk about Jameis Winston and Tyler Huntley and DTR afterwards, because you better believe once Nanny goes to sleep, with this being such a late game, I'm sneaking a post-game video in. So stay tuned for that, and we'll see you guys later.